Hello, welcome to another video. In today's video, what we are going to be doing is not something about Eurovision again. We are going to be doing something about the cadets, hence the music. There's a little glimpse of the thumbnail. There's a glimpse of the thumbnail for you. We are going to be going on the Army Cadet Force official website. So if you want to head to it, use a link in the description box. I am not sponsored. I wish I was. I do go to cadets and I wish I was sponsored. But yes, so the ACF can trace its beginnings to 1859 when there was a threat of invasion by the French. The British Army was still heavily involved abroad after the Indian mutinies and therefore had very few units in this country. The volunteers were formed to repel the possible invasion. History was to repeat itself in 1940 during the Second World War, when the Home Guard was formed to help counter a threatened invasion by the German army. Immediately following the formation of the volunteers came the start of the cadets. In 1860, at least 8 schools had formed volunteer companies for their senior boys and masters, and a number of volunteer units had started their own cadet companies. Typical of these were the Queen's Westminsters, who placed their 35 cadets at their head when they marched past Queen Victoria at her Hyde Park review of the volunteers in 1860. As in 1940, the 1859 invasion did not materialise. The cadet movement continued. However, because many social workers and teachers saw it in great value as an organisation for the benefit of boys, particularly bearing in mind the appalling conditions in which so many of them lived. Among these pioneer workers was Miss Octavia Hill, who had done a great deal to establish a national trust. She was certainly not a militarist. She formed the Southwark Cadet Company in order to introduce the boys of the slums of that area to virtues of order, cleanliness, teamwork, and self-reliance. The present conception of the Army Cadet Force as a voluntary youth organisation helped and inspired by the Army really stems from that time and has continued throughout the ACF's history. After the conversion of the volunteers to the territorial Army (TA) by Lord Haldane in 1908, public schools and universities were asked to produce units of the Officers' Training Corps, and other cadets corps were formed into school units and open units for boys who had left school. The title Cadet Force was introduced, and the administration of the force was taken over by the newly formed territorial associations. In the First World War, a big expansion of the cadet force took place, and the War Office reassumed responsibility for its administration up until 1923, which was the year Queen Victoria died, when the territorial associations again took over. In 1930, the government ceased to recognise the cadet force and withdrew financial support from it. Everything had to be provided by private raised money, and even wearing of regimental badges and buttons were forbidden. A body known as the British National Cadet Association, or the BNCA, was formed with the aim of getting official recognition restored. They achieved this aim at least to a limit degree in 1932, and by 1936 certain services and small grants were provided. The BNCA had the responsibility of running the cadet force. So what they're saying here is, during the First World War and the Second World War, they started up the cadet force. As it says here, the title Cadet Force was introduced and the administration of the force was taken over by the newly formed territorial associations. So, yeah, and 1923 is the year Queen Victoria died. So, next, during the Second World War, a big expansion of the cadet force took place in January of 1942. The War Office took over the organisation. Equipment and accommodation were increased, grants and free uniforms were authorised. The BNCA continued to deal with such matters as sport, competition shooting, and the general welfare of cadets and many other aspects of cadet work. I'll just take a drink, I won't be a second. Right, where was I? Right, the BNCA became the Army Cadet Force Association, or the ACFA, in 1945 and continues to be responsible for those aspects of cadet training and activities which are not the direct concern of the MOD. In addition, the ACFA are advisors to the MOD and other government bodies on all matters connected to the ACF, which is the Army Cadet Force. As a result of the recommendations of a government committee in 1957, the Cadet Training Centre at Frimley Park in Surrey was opened in 1959. This centre provides courses for officers and adult instructors of the ACF and the CCF, and also leadership courses in the summer for a limited number of senior cadets. The centenary of the ACF was celebrated in 1960. The chief event was the presentation of the banner to the force by HRH, the Duke of Edinburgh, at a ceremony at the Tower of London. During the year, this banner was passed from unit to unit and county to county throughout the whole of the United Kingdom. It was trooped in many places before various distinguished people were laid on the altar of numerous parish churches and cathedrals at special centenary year services. The banner is now housed at the Cadet Training Centre, Frimley Park. Another highlight of the centenary year was the review of large representative parade of the ACF and CCF by HM, the Queen, and HRH, the Duke of Edinburgh, in the grounds of Buckingham Palace. This was followed by an impressive Thanksgiving service in Westminster Abbey. Changes in the ACF have resulted in the provision of a more modern and woman-like uniform and the introduction of the Army Proficiency Certificate, ACF. I should say APF. The APC, which replaced Certificate A. Certificate A had been in use in the cadet forces in various forms since 1910. So even Queen Elizabeth II wasn't born then. She was still Oh, I don't. Let me check when she was born. Oh, yes, so, yeah, she was 16 years from being thought of being born. In 2021, the Army Proficiency Certificate was replaced with an updated syllabus, Army Cadet Syllabus 21, which added more opportunities for cadets to improve and develop as young people and for their future. There are about 34,000 cadets, including me, within the ACF in some 1,600 detachments, including Milam, which are to be found in every part of the United Kingdom, and 32,000 Army cadets within the Combined Cadet Force, CCF, which is within schools. The Army Cadets continues to play its part as the Army's own voluntary youth organisation. So their Army Cadet slogan. The Army Cadet slogan is "Going Further." I will link their whole pages. I'll link all their pages. So I've got the Army Cadet web store, the Cadet portal, which I have joined, the brand centre, the counties, and if you want to, you can contact them if you want to know any more than what I've said. And I've just read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there is the whole of the Army Cadet history. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.